There, I am not muted now. Good to go? Okay, there we go. Okay, now, good morning, everyone. I am Kristen Elliott, one of the registered dietitians here at the Atlantic Community Food Bank, and we are coming to you live from the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen. Good morning. You may notice I'm not wearing an apron today because I'm not cooking. We're going to talk about how we can get ready for the holidays by cleaning out our fridge. So we're starting a little bit early and we are getting ready for November 15th, which is National Clean Out Your Fridge Day. So that is conveniently scheduled the week before Thanksgiving because it's a good idea to start fresh for your food prep for the holidays if that's what you're doing and if you celebrate that. So when we clean out our fridge for that, we make space for all of the maybe new types of foods we don't eat on a regular basis, but also all of those holiday leftovers. So we're going to talk about a good pace for cleaning out your refrigerator. I'm going to share a simple cleaning solution that you can use instead of buying something special. I'm also going to talk to you about deodorizing your refrigerator, as well as how to keep it organized, and then how we can serve safe buffets during the holidays. Okay, here we go. So first thing we're going to talk about is how often you should clean out your fridge. I want you to, if you're watching, to jump in the chat and tell me how often you actually clean out your fridge, because I know me doing a full wipe down and everything, I might do it twice a year. That's not actually the pace we should be looking at. So in reality, it's a good idea to clean out your fridge every 3 to 4 months. And if you're really on top of it, you could do a little sweep over your fridge before each time you go shopping. Because when you do that, you are moving all the old stuff out and making new room for new groceries. So I try to do that and just take out any old leftovers that I miss and make space for new groceries. But doing an actual cleaning, I'm not following that 3 to 4 months rule. So if you're not, it's okay. So just keep in mind November 15th, it's there for a reason to remind us to clean out our fridges. So you don't need any special cleaning solutions to clean out your refrigerator. So I want to share you a really simple recipe of things you potentially already have in your house. So I'm going to just mix it here really quick and we'll continue. So first thing for our cleaning solution, we're going to use some warm water. I have about 4 cups here. Honestly, the amount of water is not that important because 4 cups really doesn't fill my bowl very much. We're going to add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of dish soap. So any dish soap that you have on hand, something that has a little bit of a degreaser will be good to help get any bits stuck to your shelves off. So we've just got 1 teaspoon and 1 teaspoon, and that's it. The warm water and the baking soda and the soap will all work together to help remove anything that's stuck to your shelves, and also will not be overwhelming with scent. You can also use some vinegar here if you want to. Your fridge will probably smell like vinegar, so that's up to you. Add that or don't add that, that's up to you. But anything like bleach and stuff will leave a lingering smell, and you might have to leave your refrigerator open longer than you really want it to. So try this cleaning solution when you clean out your fridge. So when you get ready to start cleaning your fridge, you can choose to clean it all at once, or you can do 1 shelf at a time, depending on how much time you have. So I want you to start by setting yourself up before you even get started. So get your bowl of cleaning solution, and then also get another bowl of just warm rinse water. So as you clean the shelf, you can wring out your sponge or your rag, and then you can go straight to your rinse water and then rinse it off. You're not having to run back and forth to your sink. and you just keep everything ready to go in front of you. So that's a good way to just keep you on track and save you a little bit of time. So after you clean, one step back here, always start at the top in your fridge. So whether you're doing one shelf at a time or you're cleaning it all, start at the top, because once you clean the top shelf, you can move down and you don't have to worry about recontaminating that clean shelf with any of the other, anything that's on in the other shelves. So start at the top, one sweep, and you're done. Okay, so once you're finished cleaning all of the shelves and your drawers at the bottom, you may have to take those out and clean underneath them, or take some of that cleaning solution and pour it into your drawers to get anything stuck in the corners of your drawers. So you may need to do that, but once all of those are clean, don't forget your door. You want to finish it all up with a deodorizer. So it's a good idea to keep something in your fridge to deodorize at all times. The easiest one, the most well-known one, is just baking soda. So keeping an open box of baking soda in your fridge can help absorb any extra odors that are hanging around, like you got some onion or some really strong leftovers that are just adding some extra smells, or something went bad. This is going to help absorb the odor. You can also try things like an open container of coffee grounds. You can also dip some cotton balls in vanilla extract, or maybe you've got peppermint extract or something like that. You can put that in your fridge, and then you could also use like some sliced lemons open in a bowl. That also will do it. But the baking soda is like pretty much the one that I think most people are familiar with. So buy your new little box, use it in your cleaning solution, and then leave the box in your fridge when you're done. I do believe, though, when you do that, you're going to have to replace this every couple months or so, because it will soak up all the smell, and then it will be done. It'll be completely maxed out, and you have to replace it. But these boxes are really cheap. But if you need to replace it, you could put the coffee grounds if you've got that available. No need to buy a new one. You've got options. Okay, so we have cleaned our refrigerator and we have deodorized it. Next thing we're going to talk about is food safety. So I think we all come from different backgrounds and cultures, and our grandparents or our moms or our caregivers have taught us or showed us inadvertently how they defrost meat and stuff like that. So I'm sharing some rules, some guidelines shared by the USDA to provide like an extra layer of safety for the way we use foods in our houses. So there's a link here on the screen for our expiration date handout. We love this reference guide at the food bank because it helps to tell you what the difference is between best by and use by and sell by. All of these dates are found on our food items. So just as a rule, we'll just review that really quickly. Best by means it indicates when a product will be best flavor or quality. It does not mean the food is unsafe after that date. The use by date is recommended for the product to be used at peak quality. So it's very similar to the best by. And then the sell by date is for the grocery store to keep up with their inventory. So that just means that the clerks at the store know to remove some things from the shelf at certain points in time. And then some of that food ends up at the food bank and at some of the food pantries that you may visit. So that's a little overview of that. So when it comes to the back side, we really love this because it's color coded and it tells you how long different types of foods are good past their best by, use by, or sell by dates. So it all depends on the type of food. And it's not a one rule across the board. So for instance, baking products will have a use by date, but they can be good for up to 1 year past that date because they're shelf stable. And as long as they're kept away from damp places or high temperatures, they should be good for at least 1 year past. One thing that doesn't fit into that category is baking powder. Always pay attention to the date on your baking powder, because if you go past that date, it may not work properly and your food may not rise, like your baked goods. So things like canned vegetables and meats and soup can go up to 3 years past the date on the can. And things like cheese can be up to 6 months past the date. So always just keep in mind how much life your food actually has. And don't be too afraid of the date on the package. So I recommend getting this sheet. The link is on the screen, and we will also drop it in the chat box. And use this as a reference. You could place it on your refrigerator. Okay. So also when it comes to food safety, let's see, what else should I say about food safety? We need to keep our space organized. So we're more able to keep up with the safety and the quality of our food if we can see everything appropriately. So one way to keep your refrigerator organized is to think about the things that you use the most and the things that you lose the most. So if you find that you are always forgetting about things because you can't see them, use little bins in your refrigerator, clear bins, to help you see everything in there. Also, this is kind of against the rules, generally, the way that our fridge is set up, because the drawers on the bottom are for your produce items, because it's got the little crisper knob where you can make it more humid or less humid. But we can forget about those things kind of out of sight, out of mind. So think about, if you're losing stuff in those drawers because you can't see them, consider putting your produce in the door, because you open the door and you see it immediately. And you can put your condiments in the drawers in the bottom. You don't necessarily need the condiments all the time, and they usually last a while when it comes to food safety dates and stuff like that. So think about the foods that you lose the most and figure out how to place them in a spot where they are obvious to you. I really love the putting your produce in the door model, because I have also fallen to the drawer where everything just goes to disappear. So unless you really have an active mind and can keep that in your brain at all times, don't do that. So you can organize your fridge in a way that fits what you lose and what you use the most. Keep in mind, though, you want to make sure that any raw meat is kept closer to the bottom of the refrigerator, and ready to eat foods are closer to the top. The door of your refrigerator is actually going to sit at a little bit higher temperature than the inside of your fridge. So anything like eggs or milk, it's a good idea to keep those inside the fridge and not necessarily in the door. So keep those things in mind. Okay, so we are going into the holiday season, and we're going to be having potluck meals, whether you're celebrating a holiday or you're just getting together with people that you love. And a meal is a great way for you to spend time together. We need to make sure our meals are safe. So a couple of things that you can do to make sure your meals are safe is to remember the 2-hour rule. So we want to make sure that our hot foods stay hot and our cold foods stay cold. And if they are not kept hot or cold, that your foods can stay out for 2 hours without any temperature control. So that is the max amount of time to be super sure that your food stays safe. So at that 2-hour mark, What you can do is reheat the food or re-chill the food and then put it back out. You can do that, but you need to make sure that your food is staying outside of the temperature danger zone. So most of us will not be walking around with our temperature gauges and checking the temperature of all the food. So just keep that 2-hour rule in mind. Something else you can also do is serve your food outside of temperature control in smaller batches. So you could say you've got some mac and cheese, for example. You can put it in a smaller container and put out one at a time. So when that one's done, you could pull the next one out of the oven where you're keeping it warm and then placing it out to serve everyone. And then you know that that one is for sure still hot. You can do the same thing with your cold foods as well. The foods that you should be the most worried about are things that have dairy. And let's see. And things that have dairy and foods that have meat in them. So things like salad greens sitting out with some chopped vegetables. You've got a little bit more wiggle room in how long those items can sit out, but keep in mind your dairy. So potato salad, if you use mayo, that's really important to keep really cold or to serve in smaller batches, smaller containers. So I hope those tips are helpful when it comes to your potluck meals. So when we are cleaning out our refrigerator, we don't have to toss everything. So keep in mind how long some of your leftovers have been there. So if it's been more than 5 days max, go ahead and toss it to be completely safe on your leftovers. But you can take those leftovers and make them into new foods. Like right now in my refrigerator, we got takeout. We got some Asian food takeout over the weekend, and I've got a container of rice. So when I get home today, I'm going to pilfer in my fridge and see what frozen vegetables I have. I'm going to make some fried rice for dinner because I can remake that and turn it into a different dish than having just some plain white rice and tossing that. So think about how you can remake your leftovers and get creative. Things like spaghetti. If you've got spaghetti, you can add a little extra sauce and maybe like an egg and put it into a casserole dish and call it like a baked pasta dish. So you can convert it to something new. But also, you can take a look at some of our resources that we have available to see how they might fit into some of our recipes. So a couple of things that I wanted to highlight are our recipe frameworks, or I like to call them recipe builders. So these have basically as a format to make a different type of dish, and you can look at what you have available and use those items instead of following a specific recipe. So it's soup season now. So just about anything can go make it into a soup. I am currently making lots of soups because I can use the same carrots, onions, and celery in every single soup, and then add whatever else I have available. So you can use your water or you can use a broth. And then you can add a grain and a protein and vegetables. So using something like this can help you figure out, maybe you've got like some leftover chicken that's cooked. What can you put that into? A soup would be great. You can make tacos out of it. So just some different ideas that we have available in our resources. That link is at the ticker on the bottom of the screen. You might also find some good ideas to use up your holiday leftovers in a couple weeks in that folder. Last year, we did an episode around Thanksgiving for how to use up your leftovers. So there's some good ideas in there. So you can take a look there. All of our old video content is there as well, including additional recipes. Okay. This is a quick episode today. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. I wanted to see if there's any comments in the chat box, any questions that we should address. No comments, no questions. Okay, that's totally fine. So I wanted to share this info with you ahead of time so you can go ahead and start preparing for next week, or you can do this as soon as you have time. You don't have to wait until November 15th, but that's a day that we can put it in our little phone calendar and put it on repeat every year to just remind us, hey, you should clean out your fridge. It is totally fine if you are not sticking to the 3 to 4 months rule, or doing it every single time you go to the grocery store. We all have a different bandwidth in our minds about what's going on in our lives. So it is okay if you don't, but it is also just okay to do it once a year. It's important, especially around the holidays. So friends, take a look at our resources, and then also some of the food safety stuff that I mentioned. And I hope you have a clean fridge in a week or two. Start fresh and have a wonderful holiday. We will see you the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That'll be our next episode of Pantry to Plate. We have Chef Virginia Willis once more sharing some of her holiday recipes that are using oftentimes the foods that we have here in the food bank. So she's going to show us how to brine a turkey, which helps it to be really nice and moist after you cook it. She's going to make, let's see what else, a pumpkin bread pudding using some old bread as well as canned pumpkin. And then the last thing is she jazzed up a box of stovetop stuffing mix. So tune in on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and we will see you then. Take care.